appreciate the motion that was introduced, because I think we do need more information about the impact of the program operating on the golf course property. So I'd like for Mr. Bonin to give us a little bit more detail. The ordinance, as I understand it, requires the use of existing bathroom facilities, yet at the golf course, the bathrooms are located behind a gate that protects the greens. And so I'm wondering about the protection of these very expensive greens, what we'll do about that. The ordinance, as I understand it, says 8 parking spaces would be allocated and no more. But when Mr. Rosendahl was speaking, or when Mr. Bonin was speaking, they mentioned 8 vehicles. And so I'm thinking some of these vehicles may be occupying more space than 8 parking spaces. So I have questions about that. I also would like more clarification of the hours of operation. As I understand it, the golfers use the golf lot and the bathrooms between dawn at 8 o'clock and between 6 and dusk, which overlaps with program hours. Thank you very much.
My name is Diane, and I'm so proud that I'm homeless. I wouldn't want to be anybody in this room that wouldn't care, and that would try to kick the homeless out of this town. I'm not homeless. Venice is my home. I don't have a roof over my head. Well, I do have a roof. You want to put me on the sidewalk. But I could be on the sidewalk and live here, and that would be all right. And I could be an artist and still work and love Venice the way I always have. I mean, Venice to me is almost like a lover. It's been a place that has truly touched my heart. And if it's really turning into this place where people are getting ugly that live here, maybe it is time to go find another home. Thank you, Diane.
My name is Teresa Aguilar. I also live east of Lincoln, and the security is a big issue for me because, like, even this morning I had 3 people drinking at 7:30 in the morning, and where are they going to get the security? I just think the whole issue has to be, more advanced. I'm usually the security in my alley because nobody usually shows up, and I'm kind of feared for my life because I don't want them throwing things, yelled at me and thrown at me. So the security issue is a big one. We don't have enough in Venice to begin with. So I'd like a little more discussion on this whole thing. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Stuart Oscars, resident of Venice. Back when a year ago, we spent a lot of time in Santa Barbara. We spent time talking to people in Eugene, Oregon. People in Eugene, Oregon told us, one of the first things they told us are commercial lots and vehicle dwellings do not work. The golf course lot is a commercial lot. Eugene tried this concept of mixed-use lots and found that businesses lost customers and income, so they eliminated this aspect of their parking program. Friday morning, I visited the manager of the golf course. He said that nobody had informed him or his superiors of any of this action that's taking place right now. So that was as late as Friday. Nobody in the golf course business knew this was happening. And it's already been proven to be a failed model. So I think we have to try and find a better place. I'm sorry, I mean, you look at the map of Venice, and sure, that's where there is room around it, but this is going to impact the golf course, and it could destroy, I don't know if it could destroy it, but it's going to impact it dramatically. So I don't see how we can do it. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chris Williams. I'm the co-chair of the Penmar Neighborhood Association, where you seek to put this. First of all, the Penmar Neighborhood Association appreciates the PATH program. We've met with the management of the PATH, and we support the PATH program. The big but, or however, is not at this location, and primarily because this is one of the most beautiful green spaces in Venice. It's a commercially viable, profitable area for the city of Los Angeles that brings in positive revenue. This program would overlap and take away from the positive revenue, not only of the golf course, but also of the restaurant. Has anybody looked at there is a viable restaurant there at that golf course? And does anybody think that the lessee from the city of Los Angeles would not sue the city of Los Angeles for denigrating his parking and his ability to make a living there? Anyway, we think that there are much better places to do this. We also believe that when you look at the average RV that comes in there and the fact that those are very shallow angled parking, you're looking at losing 40 to 50 spaces for the 8 RVs. The security issue is a big issue. Are you talking about the park police? The park police that have 2 officers available for Palos Verdes to hear at any time? Are you talking about St. Joseph's, who refuses to patrol east of Lincoln? Or are you talking about LAPD, who we all know are overburdened like crazy? The gates cannot be opened to allow the people to use the bathrooms, because if they are, we'll go back to the same problem that we had 30 years ago with people going in and partying in the golf course and or riding their dirt bikes around the greens, because it's lots of places to jump and have fun, and it costs many, many thousands of dollars then, and do we want to repeat that circumstance?
Thank you.
Thank you.
We had suggestions of other lots.
Mike is, if you have other suggestions, we're going to get to that. I mean, I think Mike is being...
Would not sue.
East of Lincoln. I'm at Penmar Park almost on a daily basis with my children playing tennis, walking the dog, those kinds of activities. I urge the adoption of the amendment. I believe that Pat has gone on record saying it doesn't need the Penmar space to conduct its program. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm also concerned that this will hurt small business, which can lead to additional homeless in the area. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes, hi. It's my understanding we were just supposed to be talking about the amendment. So, yeah, I wanted to support Mariana's amendment for the reason that, you know, to the detriment of Bill's office and Mike, you guys, you had we're going on 3 years now. You should have started the process to looking at private lots 3 years ago and not say, oh, well, we didn't do it, now we do it now, and we can't run the program now, so now we got to use only county lots. You're throwing it all at us. It's not fair to us. It's not fair. It's not to the detriment for the success of this program, to the detriment of our neighborhood. Come on, work with us. We're working with you. That's all we're asking. Be fair, be honest, be open, be transparent. And let us be involved and quit throwing us all this stuff at the end. Just come to us with your best deal first instead of trying to get everything that you want. I think we need another meeting.
I'm Barbara Gibson, and I own property on Rose Avenue. And I think part of the reason that the 2 lots, unfortunately, one's in Westchester and one is in Los Angeles, it's a control issue, and our councilman can control it. I support Mariana's motion, but you also, as far as we on the Rose Avenue corridor, really do our fair share. We have all the social services right along there. We've got the Venice Family Clinic, we've got Steve Clare, we've got St. Joseph's. We've been paying for this with our time, our cleanup, our everything for 30 years, I think. So please, don't say that we haven't taken part in this, because we have, before anybody else even believed that there was a problem.
Regarding the Penmar Park. Right. Yes. Well, I don't know if people have noticed, Desiree Hawkins, pardon me, that there is a construction going on that street and across the way. That usually is going to go on, start up about 7 a.m. That's probably going to be interrupting somebody's sleep that maybe they're not wanting to give up. Now, this amendment is also, once again, placing a lot that's on the other side of Lincoln, which, by my understanding, seems to be outside of the main part of Venice, and it's going to once again make people not be able to utilize all the services in the area. They're going to have to travel back and forth to different areas. They're going to have to use their gas, and it's going to be difficult for them. So my feeling is that the Penmar lot, being that, and this, I agree that this should be something that we have another meeting about, because if they're going to continually be changing the ordinance, then this is something that cannot be voted upon yet. The ordinance needs to be finalized before any vote can be set forth.
And although I cut it off, thank you very much. I'm going to let her, since you're the last one, you didn't hear me, obviously. So
I don't want to criticize anyone here on either side of the fence. Irving Bush. I'm not related to George. The directions on where this meeting was held, I've been 45 minutes trying to find it. I went to the place on California, and I drove around, had to keep asking, and...
Can you speak to the motion on the floor? This is to talk about a motion to remove the Penmar Park from the motion on the floor. That's what we're talking about. But I'm sorry about
I just wanted to say, the next time you hold a meeting, let the people know what the hell it is.
Okay, Council couldn't be here, but he asked me to read this letter. It says, to the Venice Neighborhood Council Board of Directors, I'm writing regarding your issue on tonight's agenda on 85.11. I apologize I cannot attend due to a scheduling conflict in my meetings with CD11 staff. While our neighborhood council has neither recommended to approve or reject the issue, we feel very strongly that any program where communities band together to help those living in their vehicles should be an all-inclusive plan which does not remove all campers from Venice and distribute them around the west side. While I cannot guarantee that the West LA Neighborhood Council can find an appropriate location to house the program, I can almost certainly guarantee that it will fail in a motion that does not include a lot within Venice. I would urge your council to ensure that a suitable lot in Venice is included in the master plan. Jay Handel, Chair of the West LA Neighborhood Council. Well, so that concludes the public comment about the amendment on the floor. I'm not sure, Board, do you want Mike to answer the questions before we vote on that amendment, or should we wait? Okay, but yes, I think the consensus is yes. Would you want to answer those questions, Mike, before the Board takes it?
I'm going to have Ernie join me for a couple answers, but let me first hit the main ones. One of the issues that came up was the particular question of consultation with the Department of Recreation and Parks and how this would work given the existing programming that's going on. First of all, I want to make clear, in case there's any misunderstanding, that we're talking about the golf course parking lot on Rose and not the smaller parking lot at the park, a few streets south on Lake and Penmar. This lot is larger and is much further away from residences. We have been consulting with Rec and Parks. The person we've been consulting with most closely is Kevin Regan. He's the Assistant General Manager of the department who oversees this area and all of the golf programs citywide. He is confident and supportive that this is something that can be accommodated there. He has asked for an ongoing dialogue with us on exactly how it is implemented. As I said previously, the maximum hours of the program are 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. That's in the ordinance. What he has asked for is, as we launch this there, that we have a discussion with them about a shorter window for the hours to see what works best for their programming there. That could also be adjusted seasonally so that when it's darker, the program could last longer hours. He has said he feels it's very easy to accommodate 8 vehicles there. They would be vehicles, not parking spaces. We will clarify that in the language of the ordinance to make sure. We've also had discussions with them about the bathrooms. PATH has the ability, if necessary, to provide locked porta potties that program participants would have. In most of the locations, what we would like to do is have the security folks be able to allow people into the existing bathrooms for those who need them. That will work at the West LA office, and that will work at our Westchester office. In this case, Rec and Parks has stated they have some concerns about doing that. So before they would do that, they would like us first to try the porta potties, or to try instead to accommodate people in the program who have RVs as opposed to smaller vehicles so that they have existing bathrooms. Those cars with bathrooms, as part of this program, RVs and campers, will be given vouchers so that they can dispose of their human solid waste for free at city facilities. And there's one downtime period. And then in terms of security, I'm going to ask Rudy to elaborate on that. But LAPD will be involved with security, but PATH will be hiring a private security firm. And so I'm going to ask Rudy to talk a little bit about how security will work and about cleanup.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, to give an explanation of what Mike was talking about with regards to security, to begin with, we are looking at a security team that is from this community, that is from Venice, and has been working in this community for at least 10 years. We think this is necessary rather than bringing in an outsider that doesn't know the community or is not familiar with it. We think it would be most beneficial for not just our clients, our neighbors, and our agency to hire somebody who understands local dynamics in this community. That part of what we're doing through that is actually bringing in the security team to actually be part of our team, work with us, but also join us for the meetings that we have set up with Pacific Division LAPD. In our agreement to work closely with law enforcement, we have the ability to actually sit down with law enforcement, with our security team, and with our PATH outreach team to actually sit down on a weekly basis and discuss ongoing issues that we've been seeing. The security team itself would be working between the hours of 6 p.m. and 8 a.m. The security team itself would be monitoring all 3 sites throughout the entire evening, from evening to morning. In addition, the security team would have contact with local senior lead officers in order to have a quick response should anything occur, while at the same time having access to our team that works throughout the evening in other communities to address issues as they come up at any of these sites. This being said, the idea would be that you have a close ability to monitor all 3 sites through PATH, through the Los Angeles Police Department, and most importantly through the dedicated security team that would be working in the site between 6 p.m. and 8 a.m.
Thank you. Thank you. Excuse me.
Just wanted to say one thing in closing. I think we've probably done a better job of explaining how the program works than we have at the previous meetings. There are a couple of handouts on the back table. One is a copy of the revised ordinance, but the other, which has Exhibit A on it, scope of work, is the actual details and the rules of how the program will operate, information on the grievance procedures in case there's any problems, and that comes directly from the contract between Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority and PATH. The ordinance is just what enables PATH to operate in these spaces, but that contract actually includes the governing rules and the parameters of the program.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, so board.
Quite a bit.
Can I just finish my statement and then I'll go back to the board? I wanted to say we're going to start talking to the board. I'm going to give each board member 1 minute, and then we're going to vote on the amendment and go from there. So, but Mark wants to start with a point of information, please.
I'd like to ask Chris Williams to come up and tell us about the other locations that he mentioned that they had suggested or were thought they could put forward.
I didn't suggest any other locations.
Yeah, you did, actually. You said that we have other locations that we think might be better than Penmar Park.
I think there would be other locations better.
Do you want to tell us what they are? Because we don't have any alternatives in front of us.
I believe they need to be vetted. I believe that there needs to be an open process and that they need to look around. I don't think the district last Thursday.
Thank you, Chris.
This is the typical reaction
Chris, thank
we
you.
get in our community.
Thank you.
We're all the time.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to start with Joe.
I wonder, well, I'm asking a point of...
Excuse me one second. Mariana just said that she's the maker of the motion and she wants to go first. That's fair. Please.
Point of procedure. Are we going to have an opportunity to ask questions of Rosendahl and her staff without using our 1 minute? Really, this is a tough issue, and it's not something to be answered. It can't be answered in a 1 minute session.
I know that many of you are frustrated and that you find this absurd, and I take that to heart. But please don't direct your frustration at me because Penmar Park is not an appropriate location. Direct it to Councilman Rosendahl's office where it's properly deserved. My neighbors and I found out on Thursday that Penmar Golf Course was the location. They never consulted us, they never talked to us, they never really even talked to anyone in the Department of Recreation and Parks. That he follows the direction of the city council. He doesn't make independent choices. He's a manager. So to say Kevin Regan thinks this is a great idea and he can do it really doesn't mean squat. It's the people at the golf course who are going to be affected by this. Now, back on what people are saying, I really take offense to Westchester and West LA coming in here and saying that they're not going to do the program unless Venice does it. Westchester was given funds from this program, funds that came from our surplus property fund. That's how that family of 7 got into housing. They didn't get here by themselves. This is completely inappropriate. Now, plus the fact that we've dealt with this program for so long, and because they've been unwilling to deal with it, to come in now and say that they're not going to deal with it unless we deal with it too in the same way, it's just unfair. The park is not an appropriate location for this space. It will put the golf course and the restaurant. I'm going to make a promotion. I deserve more than 1 minute. I'm sorry, Linda, but I think that's inappropriate. I would ask for more time. Thank you very much. It will put the golf course and the restaurant on site in financial peril. The golf course people have been very clear about that. They will not succeed if the program's allowed to go. Golf course people have already emailed us saying that they won't come to the golf course if the program's in place. Golf course is open from dusk to dawn. If you're in this program, that means you're never going to know when to get there and when to come back. It's absolutely inappropriate. Plus the fact that if you don't leave the balcony open, it means that only RVs will park at the lawn.
You don't filibuster the thing.
Linda, this is a really important issue. It's not fair to limit people to 1 minute when this is the first our community has heard about the Penmar Golf Course and there's been no talk about it beforehand. It's absolutely inappropriate.
The audience made. Okay. Start on this end, and everyone gets 1 minute. Joe.
I'd like to make a procedural motion to lift the 1 minute.
Yes. 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 Thank you.
You know what? Board, I'm just going to ask, Board, would you like 2 minutes each? Would anybody, are you willing to stay as long as it takes? Is anyone opposed to taking 2 minutes each?
I think it's
fine. All right, Joe, 2 minutes each. Fine.
I'd say lift it
Joe, I said
entirely.
okay. 2 minutes. Go. You're on.
I'm saying lift. My motion is to lift it entirely so that we can have a full discussion of this issue.
Joe, no. You have 2 minutes. Are you going to speak?
I appeal that decision.
I'm sorry. You're overruled. Okay. Are you going to speak?
I appeal that decision.
Are you going to speak to this motion?
I appeal that decision.
We'll deal with it later. Okay. Anyone else?
Yes. Judge made a motion, and I think we have to act on the motion.
The motion to what?
The motion was that we lift the speaking rules.
And I said yes.
No, you did 2 minutes. My motion is to allow full discussion of this issue.
Yes. Full discussion. What are we rushing for?
I would like to know how Joe defines full discussion.
The only thing I can think of is the Supreme Court decision that basically said, if it's pornography, you'll know it when you see it. Now, people have thoughts and ideas, and on the board they have them, and we have had very little discussion among ourselves or about this issue. And we need to allow enough time for members of the board, and for the public for that matter, but members of the board in this instance, to fully discuss their issues about this.
Fine, we are doing that. We are doing that.
Without a time limit.
We're doing that. Okay. We don't need to have a motion. Board members, feel free to talk, okay? And if you get out of turn, people will be hooting at you if you're out of order. And if you're going too long, and you'll hear it from the crowd, because if it gets boring and you're wasting time, they'll tell you. Okay. All right. All right, so anyone else want to say? Joe, you've had your turn. Okay, anything else?
No, I haven't had
Joe,
having made this statement.
Joe, I'll come back to you. There's a motion on the table. I want to speak to the motion. And we'll come back to you. I just said we will suspend the time. Point well taken. Moving on. Brennan.
Actually, you can take my time.
Okay, Brennan. Okay, Joe.
Well, I was going to
speak to the motion.
I was going to ask that since I've taken a lot of time to just get it over, trying to be an example of transparency, I would like to defer and be heard sometime at another time in another sequence with the board. So go ahead.
Thank you. Moving right along. Anyone else like to speak to it? Moving down the aisle, Brennan, Jed, Scott, Mike would like to speak. Oh, wait, sorry. Brennan.
I'll just jump in with that. I don't have an answer to this, but the biggest issue is how do we properly vet a location in Venice? I think that's the biggest, the emails that we've all received is that this feels and occurred that was sprung upon the people of Penmar. I don't know if it is the best location or not, and but I mean, I would like to see something in Venice